The art of attraction has fascinated humanity since the dawn of civilization, yet few have understood its true mechanics as profoundly as Niccolo Machiavelli. While most remember him for his political treatise, The Prince, his observations on human nature reveal a deeper understanding of how certain individuals command attention, respect, and admiration without effort. Through careful study of history's most compelling figures, from Caesar to Cleopatra, from Lorenzo de' Medici to Cesare Borgia, patterns emerge that transcend time, culture, and circumstance. True charisma operates on a frequency that most people cannot consciously detect, but inevitably respond to. It manifests not through grand gestures or desperate attempts at charm, but through subtle behaviors that signal something extraordinary about the person exhibiting them. These behaviors create an invisible field of influence that draws others in, much like how certain flowers attract bees not through bright colors alone, but through complex chemical signals that speak directly to primal instincts. The first behavior that distinguishes the magnetically attractive from the ordinary masses is their relationship with silence. Most people fear quiet moments in conversation, rushing to fill every pause with nervous chatter or meaningless pleasantries. They mistake volume for importance and constant talking for engagement. The truly charismatic individual understands that silence is not an absence but a presence, a space where others can project their thoughts, feel heard, and experience the rare gift of being truly listened to. When someone possesses this quality, they create what psychologists call psychological space. In this space, others feel safe to reveal their authentic selves, to share thoughts they might otherwise keep hidden, to express vulnerabilities they typically guard. This happens because silence, when wielded skillfully, communicates several powerful messages simultaneously. Confidence in one's own worth that doesn't require constant validation through speech, security that doesn't need to be proven through endless words, and most importantly, genuine interest in what others have to say. The mechanics of this behavior are surprisingly simple, yet require considerable inner discipline to master. It begins with developing comfort in your own skin, learning to sit with quiet moments without anxiety or the compulsive need to speak. When someone else is talking, the charismatic individual gives them complete attention, not planning their next response or waiting for their turn to speak, but actually absorbing what is being communicated. Their body language remains open and engaged. Their eyes maintain appropriate contact without staring, and when they do speak, their words carry weight because they have been carefully considered. This quality becomes magnetic because in our hyper-connected, constantly chattering world, genuine listening has become extraordinarily rare. Most people spend conversations waiting for their turn to talk rather than truly hearing what others are saying. When someone encounters a person who actually listens, who creates space for their thoughts and feelings, the experience is so unusual and fulfilling that they naturally want to spend more time in that person's presence. The second pillar of irresistible attraction lies in the mastery of emotional regulation under pressure. While others become visibly flustered, defensive, or reactive when faced with challenges, criticism, or unexpected situations, the charismatic individual maintains an inner equilibrium that seems almost supernatural to observers. This isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending to feel nothing, but rather about developing such a strong sense of self that external circumstances cannot easily destabilize their core being. This emotional steadiness creates a phenomenon that psychologists term emotional contagion in reverse. Typically, emotions spread from person to person like ripples in a pond. If someone is anxious, others around them begin to feel anxious. If someone is excited, that excitement becomes infectious. However, when someone possesses true emotional mastery, they become a stabilizing force that actually calms the emotional turbulence of others. People unconsciously seek out their presence during difficult times because being around them feels like finding shelter in a storm. The development of this quality requires understanding that most situations that feel urgent or threatening are actually not as serious as they initially appear. The emotionally masterful person has usually experienced enough of life to recognize patterns, to understand that this too shall pass, and that reacting emotionally to every provocation leads to poor decisions and damaged relationships. They respond rather than react, choosing their emotional expressions deliberately rather than being at the mercy of whatever feelings arise. Practically speaking, this manifests in several observable ways. Their voice remains steady even when discussing difficult topics. Their body language stays relaxed rather than becoming rigid or defensive. They can acknowledge criticism without becoming argumentative or dismissive, often responding with curiosity rather than defensiveness. When others around them are losing their composure, they become a grounding presence that helps restore balance to the entire group. This behavior becomes attractive because humans are naturally drawn to stability and security. In an uncertain world filled with reactive, emotionally volatile people, encountering someone who maintains their center regardless of circumstances feels like discovering an oasis in a desert. People want to be around this person because they feel safer, calmer, and more capable when in their presence. The third fundamental behavior involves the strategic revelation of depth and complexity. Most people present themselves in one of two ways. Either they reveal everything about themselves immediately in an attempt to be liked, or they maintain such a rigid facade that they appear one-dimensional. The charismatic individual understands that attraction is fueled by mystery and the gradual discovery of unexpected layers. This doesn't mean being secretive or manipulative, but rather understanding that people are naturally curious creatures who are drawn to puzzles and complexity. When someone reveals aspects of themselves slowly and appropriately, it creates an ongoing sense of discovery that keeps others engaged and interested. Each conversation might reveal a new skill, an unexpected opinion, a surprising experience, or an unanticipated depth of knowledge about some subject. The key is authenticity combined with timing. These revelations must be genuine aspects of the person's character or experience, not fabricated stories or exaggerated accomplishments. However, the timing of when to share what information becomes crucial. Sharing too much too quickly overwhelms people and removes the element of discovery that creates intrigue. Sharing too little for too long can make someone seem boring or closed off. The masterful individual learns to read social situations and relationships, understanding when revealing a particular aspect of themselves will be most impactful and meaningful. They might mention their unusual hobby only when it becomes relevant to the conversation. They might share a profound insight only when others are ready to appreciate its depth. They might reveal a vulnerability only when trust has been established, and the revelation will deepen rather than damage the relationship. This approach becomes magnetic because it satisfies the human need for discovery and growth within relationships. Just as people lose interest in books where everything is revealed in the first chapter, they become bored with individuals who lay out their entire personality in the first meeting. The promise that there is more to discover, more depth to explore, more complexity to understand, creates an ongoing attraction that deepens over time rather than fading. The fourth pillar of subtle attraction involves what might be called selective availability. While neediness repels people and complete unavailability frustrates them, the charismatic individual finds the perfect balance between being accessible and being discerning about how they spend their time and energy. They are warm and engaging when present, but they don't make themselves available to everyone at all times. This behavior communicates several important messages simultaneously. First, it suggests that the person values their own time and has important things to do with their life, which implies they are interesting and accomplished. Second, it makes the time they do spend with others feel more valuable and special. Third, it prevents them from becoming taken for granted, which is one of the fastest ways to lose someone's interest and respect. The implementation of this principle requires genuine substance behind the selectivity. It's not about playing games or being artificially unavailable, but about actually having a rich, full life that includes various commitments, interests, and relationships. When someone truly has multiple demands on their time, whether through work, hobbies, other friendships, family obligations, or personal development activities, their natural selectivity becomes attractive rather than manipulative. The key is maintaining warmth and genuine interest when you are available, while being clear about your boundaries when you're not. This might mean being fully present and engaged during a conversation, but not being available for lengthy phone calls every day. It might mean being enthusiastic about making plans, but not being available every weekend. It might mean being supportive during important moments, but not being available to solve every minor problem that arises. This behavior becomes attractive because it signals high value without arrogance, genuine interest without desperation, and availability without neediness. People want what they cannot easily have, but they also want to feel valued when they do have access. Selective availability provides both elements in a natural, sustainable way. Part 2. Advanced techniques for magnetic influence. Building upon the foundational behaviors, the more sophisticated aspects of Machiavellian charisma involve understanding and leveraging the deeper psychological mechanisms that govern human attraction and influence. These behaviors require greater emotional intelligence and social awareness, but when mastered, they create an almost irresistible magnetic pull that draws people in and keeps them engaged over time. The fifth behavior that distinguishes the truly charismatic involves the masterful use of strategic vulnerability. This represents one of the most counterintuitive aspects of attraction, that showing carefully chosen weaknesses can actually increase rather than decrease one's appeal. However, this must be understood and executed with precision, as there is a vast difference between strategic vulnerability and emotional neediness or inappropriate oversharing. Strategic vulnerability works because it accomplishes several psychological objectives. First, it makes the person seem more human and relatable rather than intimidatingly perfect. Second, it creates opportunities for others to feel useful and valuable by offering support or understanding. Third, it demonstrates confidence and security because only someone who feels fundamentally strong can afford to show weakness. Fourth, it establishes emotional connection by allowing others to see past the surface to something more authentic underneath. The key to strategic vulnerability lies in its timing, context, and content. The timing must be appropriate, not too early in a relationship when trust hasn't been established, but not so late that it feels forced or manipulative. The context must feel natural and relevant to the conversation or situation, arising organically rather than being forced into the interaction. The content must be genuine but not overwhelming, real aspects of the person's experience that create connection without burdening the other person with problems they cannot solve. Effective strategic vulnerability might involve acknowledging a fear that many people share, such as public speaking or uncertainty about the future. It might involve sharing a meaningful struggle that has led to growth, such as overcoming a difficult period in life or learning from a significant mistake. It might involve expressing genuine uncertainty about a decision or situation, inviting others to share their perspectives and wisdom. The crucial element is that these vulnerabilities must be balanced by demonstrated strength and capability in other areas. Someone who only shows weakness appears needy and unstable, while someone who never shows weakness appears inhuman and unapproachable. The magnetic individual reveals carefully chosen vulnerabilities while consistently demonstrating competence, resilience, and emotional stability in their overall demeanor and actions. This behavior becomes attractive because it satisfies the human need for authentic connection while maintaining respect and admiration. People are drawn to those who seem real and approachable, but they also want to associate with those they perceive as strong and capable. Strategic vulnerability provides both elements, creating a powerful combination that fosters both intimacy and respect. The sixth pillar involves what might be termed intellectual unpredictability. While consistency in character and values is essential, the charismatic individual maintains an element of mental flexibility and curiosity that keeps others guessing about their perspectives and responses. They avoid falling into predictable patterns of thought or reaction, instead approaching each situation with fresh eyes and a willingness to consider new possibilities. This doesn't mean being contrarian for the sake of argument or changing positions randomly, but rather maintaining genuine intellectual humility and curiosity that allows for growth and evolution of thought. The intellectually unpredictable person might surprise others by taking an unexpected position on an issue, asking questions that others haven't considered, or approaching familiar problems from entirely new angles. The foundation of this behavior is genuine intellectual curiosity combined with confidence in one's ability to think independently. Rather than simply adopting the opinions of their social group or sticking rigidly to ideological positions, these individuals engage with ideas on their own merits, willing to change their minds when presented with compelling evidence or arguments. Practically, this manifests in several ways. In conversations, they might ask questions that reveal assumptions others haven't examined. They might express genuine uncertainty about complex issues, rather than pretending to have all the answers. They might acknowledge when they've learned something new or changed their perspective on something. They might approach familiar topics from unexpected angles or make connections that others haven't seen. This behavior becomes magnetic because intellectual unpredictability signals several attractive qualities simultaneously: intelligence, confidence, growth mindset, and authenticity. People enjoy being challenged intellectually in a safe, non-threatening way, and they are drawn to those who can offer fresh perspectives and insights. The promise that conversations with this person will be stimulating and potentially revelatory creates ongoing interest and engagement. The seventh behavior involves mastery of what psychologists call social proof orchestration. Rather than desperately seeking approval or validation from others, the charismatic individual naturally generates situations where their value and desirability become apparent to others through observation rather than self-promotion. This is perhaps one of the most subtle yet powerful aspects of Machiavellian influence. Social proof works because humans are fundamentally social creatures who look to others for guidance about how to think, feel, and behave. When people observe that someone is valued, respected, or desired by others, they automatically begin to perceive that person as more valuable, respectable, and desirable themselves. However, the key is that this social proof must appear natural and authentic rather than manufactured or manipulative. The foundation of effective social proof orchestration lies in actually developing qualities that others genuinely value and respect. This might involve developing expertise in areas that others find interesting or useful, cultivating relationships with a diverse range of interesting people, or consistently demonstrating character traits that others admire. The social proof then emerges naturally from these genuine qualities and relationships. The subtle art lies in creating situations where this value becomes visible to others without appearing to seek attention or validation. This might involve mentioning interesting projects or activities in passing rather than boasting about accomplishments. It might involve introducing friends or colleagues who represent different aspects of one's life and interests. It might involve being invited to events or opportunities that signal recognition or respect from others. The truly skilled practitioner of this behavior learns to let others discover and comment on their achievements, relationships, or opportunities rather than announcing them directly. They might casually mention an interesting conversation with someone notable, or let others notice an invitation to an exclusive event, or allow their expertise to become apparent through natural demonstration rather than explicit claims. This behavior becomes attractive because it satisfies the human tendency to want what others want while avoiding the negative associations that come with obvious self-promotion. When someone appears to be valued by others, people naturally become curious about what makes them special. When this value appears to be recognized spontaneously by multiple people, it seems more credible and significant than if the person were promoting themselves directly. The eighth pillar involves the sophisticated use of what might be called emotional leadership. While many people are emotionally reactive, allowing their feelings to be determined by external circumstances and other people's moods, the charismatic individual consistently sets the emotional tone for their interactions and environments. They become a positive force that elevates the energy and mood of those around them. This doesn't mean being artificially upbeat or ignoring negative realities, but rather maintaining an inner emotional state that is grounded in something deeper than momentary circumstances. The emotionally masterful person has developed the ability to choose their emotional responses based on what will be most beneficial for themselves and others, rather than simply reacting automatically to whatever happens around them. Emotional leadership manifests in various ways depending on the situation. In social gatherings, it might mean bringing a sense of warmth and enthusiasm that makes others feel welcome and engaged. During difficult conversations, it might mean maintaining calm and constructive energy that helps others feel safe to express themselves honestly. In stressful situations, it might mean providing reassurance and perspective that helps others regain their equilibrium. The key is authenticity combined with intention. The emotionally masterful person doesn't fake feelings or put on artificial personas, but they do take responsibility for their emotional state and its impact on others. They understand that emotions are contagious and that they have the power to influence the entire atmosphere of any interaction or environment they enter. This requires developing a strong emotional foundation through practices such as self-reflection, stress management, and cultivating sources of inner stability and joy that don't depend on external circumstances. When someone has access to inner peace, confidence, and positive energy regardless of what's happening around them, they naturally become someone others want to be near. This behavior becomes attractive because humans are naturally drawn to positive, stable, emotional energy. In a world filled with anxiety, negativity, and emotional instability, encountering someone who consistently brings calm confidence and genuine warmth feels like a rare gift. People want to spend time with those who make them feel better about themselves and life in general. Part 3. Master-level implementation and sustained influence. The final tier of Machiavellian charisma involves behaviors that require the highest levels of emotional intelligence, social awareness, and personal development. These techniques, when mastered and integrated with the foundational behaviors, create a level of magnetic attraction that seems almost supernatural to those who witness it. However, they also require the greatest degree of authenticity and character development, as attempting to fake these qualities inevitably leads to detection and rejection. The ninth behavior involves what might be termed adaptive mirroring with authentic enhancement. This represents a sophisticated understanding of human psychology that goes far beyond simple mimicry or people-pleasing. The charismatic individual learns to recognize and reflect back the best aspects of others, while maintaining their own authentic core, creating interactions where people feel understood, valued, and inspired to be their best selves. Effective adaptive mirroring requires genuine curiosity about and appreciation for other people's unique qualities, perspectives, and experiences. Rather than trying to become a copy of whoever they're talking to, the skilled practitioner learns to find and highlight the admirable aspects of others, while connecting them to their own authentic interests and values. This creates a sense of deep resonance and understanding that goes far beyond surface-level compatibility. The process begins with developing the ability to quickly read and understand others, their communication styles, their values, their interests, their insecurities, and their aspirations. This requires active listening, careful observation of both verbal and nonverbal cues, and genuine interest in understanding what makes each person unique and valuable. The goal is not to gather information for manipulation, but to truly appreciate the complexity and worth of each individual. Once this understanding is achieved, the adaptive mirroring involves reflecting back the person's positive qualities in a way that makes them feel seen and appreciated, while also creating genuine connection. This might involve matching their communication style when it brings out their best self, showing interest in topics that clearly matter to them, or expressing values that resonate with their deepest beliefs, but only when these connections are authentic and meaningful. The authentic enhancement aspect is crucial and represents what separates this behavior from simple manipulation or people-pleasing. Rather than just reflecting what others want to see, the charismatic individual finds ways to bring out and celebrate the best in others while remaining true to their own character. They might encourage someone's creativity, recognize their intelligence, appreciate their humor, or acknowledge their strength, but only when they genuinely see and value these qualities. This behavior becomes irresistible because it satisfies one of the deepest human needs: the desire to be truly seen, understood, and appreciated for who we really are. Most people go through life feeling misunderstood or undervalued, encountering others who either don't pay attention or who try to change them into something different. When someone demonstrates the rare ability to see and celebrate their authentic best self, the emotional impact is profound and lasting. The 10th pillar involves the masterful creation and management of social gravity, the ability to naturally become the center of positive attention in social situations without appearing to seek or demand that attention. This represents one of the most advanced social skills, requiring perfect balance between confidence and humility, between leading and serving, between shining and helping others shine. Social gravity works through a combination of genuine value creation and strategic position. The person with this quality consistently brings something valuable to every social interaction, whether it's interesting insights, entertaining stories, useful connections, or simply positive energy that makes everyone feel better. However, they deliver this value in a way that feels natural and generous, rather than attention-seeking or self-promotional. The foundation of social gravity lies in developing genuinely interesting and valuable qualities that others naturally want to be around. This might involve cultivating fascinating hobbies, developing expertise in areas others find engaging, building relationships with interesting people, or simply becoming someone who consistently has engaging stories and insights to share. The key is that these qualities must be authentic and developed for their own sake, not merely as tools for attracting attention. The strategic aspect involves understanding group dynamics and social positioning. The person with social gravity learns to position themselves physically and socially in ways that naturally draw others to them. They might choose where to sit or stand to optimize interaction. They might ask questions that get others talking about topics they're passionate about. Or they might introduce connections between people that create value for everyone involved. Perhaps most importantly, they learn to balance being the center of attention with helping others feel important and valued. They might tell a story that entertains everyone, then ask someone else about their own experiences in a related area. They might offer an interesting insight, then invite others to share their perspectives. They might make themselves available for conversation while also facilitating connections between others. This behavior becomes magnetic because it creates an environment where everyone feels better about themselves and their social experience. People want to be around those who make social situations more enjoyable, who help them meet interesting people, and who create opportunities for them to share their own stories and insights in a welcoming environment. The 11th behavior involves what might be called temporal mastery, the ability to operate on different time horizons simultaneously, thinking both strategically about long-term goals and tactically about immediate interactions. This creates an impression of depth, wisdom, and reliability that sets the charismatic individual apart from those who are purely reactive or short-term focused. Temporal mastery manifests in several ways. In conversations, it might involve connecting current events to historical patterns or future implications, demonstrating a broader perspective that helps others understand issues more deeply. In relationships, it might involve balancing immediate enjoyment with long-term compatibility and growth. In decision-making, it might involve considering both immediate consequences and long-term effects. The foundation of this behavior lies in developing the intellectual capacity and emotional maturity to hold multiple time horizons in mind simultaneously. This requires studying history to understand patterns, developing strategic thinking skills to anticipate consequences, and cultivating patience to delay immediate gratification in service of long-term goals. Practically, this might involve mentioning how current trends relate to historical cycles, discussing both the immediate and long-term implications of decisions, or demonstrating consistency between stated values and actual behavior over time. The temporal master doesn't just react to what's happening now, but places current events in broader context that helps others understand their significance. This behavior becomes attractive because it signals wisdom, reliability, and depth of thinking that most people lack. In a culture increasingly focused on immediate gratification and short-term thinking, encountering someone who operates on longer time horizons feels both rare and valuable. People are naturally drawn to those who can help them understand the bigger picture and make better decisions. The 12th and final behavior involves the cultivation of what might be termed generous authority, the ability to naturally command respect and deference while simultaneously making others feel empowered and valued. This represents the highest level of social mastery, combining strength with kindness, leadership with service, and confidence with humility in a way that creates deep loyalty and admiration. Generous authority works because it satisfies apparently contradictory human needs. People want to follow strong, capable leaders who can guide them and make difficult decisions, but they also want to feel valued, respected, and empowered in their own right. The person with generous authority provides both elements, creating an environment where others feel both supported and inspired to become their best selves. The foundation of generous authority lies in developing genuine competence, wisdom, and strength while maintaining deep respect and care for others. This requires mastering relevant skills and knowledge, developing good judgment through experience and reflection, and cultivating the emotional strength to remain calm and decisive under pressure. However, it also requires genuine humility and service orientation that puts others' growth and well-being ahead of ego gratification. In practice, generous authority might involve taking charge of situations when leadership is needed while ensuring everyone feels heard and valued. It might involve making difficult decisions while explaining the reasoning and considering others' perspectives. It might involve setting boundaries and maintaining standards while providing support and encouragement for growth. It might involve sharing knowledge and opportunities generously while still maintaining appropriate professional or social hierarchies. The key is that the authority feels earned and beneficial rather than imposed or self-serving. Others respect this person's leadership because they consistently demonstrate competence, good judgment, and genuine care for others' well-being. They follow willingly because they feel better about themselves and their situations when this person is in charge. This behavior becomes irresistible because it creates an environment where people can relax into being led while also feeling inspired to grow and contribute. In a world where authority often feels either absent or oppressive, encountering someone who exercises generous authority feels like discovering what leadership should really look like. The integration of all 12 behaviors creates a social presence that seems almost magnetic in its attractiveness. However, the key to authentic charisma lies not in mechanically implementing techniques, but in developing the character qualities that naturally give rise. True Machiavellian charisma emerges from genuine self-development, authentic care for others, and the wisdom to understand and work with human nature rather than against it. The person who masters these behaviors becomes someone others naturally want to be around, to learn from, to follow, and to support. They create value in every interaction, help others feel better about themselves, and contribute positively to every environment they enter. Their influence extends far beyond immediate interactions, creating ripple effects that improve the lives of everyone in their orbit. Most importantly, these behaviors create a sustainable form of attractiveness that deepens over time, rather than fading. Unlike superficial charm or manipulative techniques that eventually backfire, authentic charisma based on genuine character development and care for others creates lasting bonds and enduring influence that enriches both the practitioner's life and the lives of everyone they encounter. The path to developing these qualities requires patience, consistent effort, and genuine commitment to personal growth and service to others. However, for those willing to undertake this journey, the rewards extend far beyond social success to encompass a deeply fulfilling life characterized by meaningful relationships, positive influence, and the satisfaction that comes from helping others reach their potential while achieving one's own highest aspirations.